Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something, well, pretty fundamental for personal growth and just clear communication, emotional control.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, dealing with feelings, especially the really strong ones like, frustration or anxiety, it can feel less like we're managing them and more like we're just sort of caught up in them.
That's a great way to put it. And based on the sources we looked at, this deep dive, it has a really clear goal.
Yeah.
We want to give you that blueprint, essentially, for separating the feeling that just happens from the choice you make next.
Right.
So we'll go beyond just defining emotions, happiness, sadness, anger, and get into simple, practical strategies you can actually use to handle them better right away.
And that ties straight into the core idea here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Emotions are natural. They happen, in our bodies, our minds. We usually use adjectives like I feel stressed or I seem happy. But the sources we reviewed, they were really clear that we need to draw a line. We can't always control that initial feeling, that flash of fear, maybe, or annoyance.
Yeah.
That's almost instinct.
That is the key insight. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That first feeling, that's the stimulus. But yeah, the material we studied overwhelmingly points to this. The reaction to that feeling, that's where our power is.
Our response is a choice.
Ultimately, yes, it's a choice.
That's a huge distinction. But, it brings up a question. If the feeling is so automatic, how much time do we realistically have to jump in and choose that reaction? Are we talking just milliseconds?
Yeah.
Or can we genuinely train ourselves to make that gap bigger?
We definitely can train ourselves. And that delay, that gap, that's where all the benefits come from.
Okay.
Think of it maybe less like stopping the feeling itself and more like building a buffer zone,
Yep, like a fire break.
Exactly, a fire break. But why bother with control if these feelings are natural? Well, the sources show that uncontrolled reactions, they have real costs. They mess with our logical thinking. They can damage relationships with impulsive words.
Oh, yeah.
And inside, they just steal our sense of peace.
We've all seen that happen.
Right.
Or maybe done it ourselves. Someone gets frustrated for a second, fires off an angry email.
And immediately regrets it.
Yeah. The emotion felt totally justified right then, but the action.
Yeah.
Pretty destructive long term.
Precisely. So when we control the reaction, we gain clarity. And that's vital for you, the listener, especially if you're learning or trying to communicate effectively.
How so?
Well, the sources highlighted how strong emotions like, say, intense nervousness or even shame, they actually block our thinking ability. If you're too panicked giving a presentation or in an interview,
Your mind goes blank.
exactly. The words just stop. Yeah. So calmness isn't just about personality. It's actually a requirement for expressing yourself clearly.
So the aim isn't to become some kind of robot, emotionless. It's just to stop the emotion from grabbing the steering wheel all the time.
You've got it. We're aiming for regulation, not trying to repress everything.
Okay, that makes sense. So if we accept that distinction feeling versus reaction, the big question is how? How do we build that space, that fire break you mentioned, between the spark and the fire?
Right.
The sources laid out a really practical 8-part toolkit for doing just that. Where do we start? What's the first thing the sources say we should do?
It almost always starts with the body. Strategy 1, pause and breathe.
Okay. Sounds simple, maybe a bit cliche.
It does sound simple, but the sources actually explain the biology behind it, which is fascinating. That slow, deliberate exhale, it stimulates something called the vagus nerve.
Vagus nerve. Okay. Yeah.
This nerve runs all the way from your brainstem down through your body. And when you activate it with that slow breath, it physically lowers your heart rate. It tells your body to calm down.
So it's not just, oh, I'll take a second to think. You're actually sending a biological signal to counter the panic response.
You're essentially hacking your own physiology, interrupting the spiral before it gets going. And there's a great little phrase for this, taking a breather. It communicates both to others and yourself that you're actively choosing calm. I need to take a breather.
Okay, so breathing is like the physical firewall. What about the mental side? That brings us to strategy 2, right? Name the emotion.
Yes. When that feeling hits anxiety, anger, whatever, actually articulate it, even just silently to yourself, I feel nervous right now, or, okay, I'm feeling annoyed.
Why does just naming it help?
Because naming it creates separation. You start to see the emotion as something you're experiencing, not something that is you. It shifts it from being your identity to just being a temporary state.
Ah, I see. So that phrase, right now I am experiencing stress, that structure is powerful. It frames it as temporary, something passing through.
Exactly. It reduces its hold on you. And strategy 3 builds right on that. Think before you react.
Okay.
If we know emotions push us to act fast, we need to deliberately slow down. And the sources, they still back that age-old advice. Count to 10. Seriously. In your head. Before you speak or act out of anger.
It's like installing a little mental speed bump.
That's a perfect analogy.
And I guess if you count to 10 and then you decide maybe not to say anything or to say something calmer.
Then you've successfully used emotional control, even if you still felt that initial urge to lash out. You chose differently.
Right. Okay. Moving inward then.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy 4 focuses on how we talk to ourselves. Use positive self-talk.
Yes, and the sources really emphasize this one.
Why is it better to actively say something like, I can stay calm, instead of just trying not to think the negative thought, like, don't panic?
That's a great question. Trying to suppress a thought like don't panic actually takes mental energy, and weirdly can sometimes make the thought stronger. It's like telling someone not to think of a pink elephant.
Right, you immediately picture it.
Exactly. But positive self-talk, it consciously replaces the negative script running in your head. So instead of I'm going to fail, you actively insert I will try my best. This actually shifts your focus and your energy towards constructive action, not paralysis.
It's like doing a quick mental edit, a language replacement.
Precisely. It's an active redirection.
Okay, powerful internal tool. Strategy 5 then takes us external. Change the environment.
Right. Sometimes the emotion is just too strong in the current situation. Maybe stress at your desk or a difficult conversation getting heated. Physical relocation can be necessary.
What kind of relocation are we talking? Packing up and moving?
No, usually much smaller. The sources talk about a micro reset, just getting up to walk to the water cooler, stepping outside for literally 1 minute, even just shifting position in your chair.
Okay.
It's a physical break that forces a brief mental break, too. It interrupts the pattern.
And we have a good phrase for this, don't we? Cooling off.
Exactly. If you say, I need a moment to cool off, or I just went for a walk to cool off, you're signaling you're managing the emotion proactively by changing your surroundings.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, strategy 6 tackles a really common misunderstanding, I think. Express emotions safely.
Yes, this is crucial. Controlling emotions doesn't mean you just bottle them up or pretend they don't exist.
Because that just leads to other problems down the line, right? Chronic stress, maybe even health issues.
Absolutely. Safe expression means finding healthy ways to channel that emotional energy. Constructive ways, like writing it down in a journal, talking it through with a trusted friend, maybe creating art or music, or even just vigorous exercise.
So you're still acknowledging and processing the feeling, letting the energy out.
But without causing harm to yourself or others. You could say something like, I find it helpful to let my emotions out through painting or through running. It names the safe outlet.
Got it. Okay, strategy 7 brings us back inside to a state of mind. Practice mindfulness.
This is about actively focusing on the present moment. Just noticing your breath, sounds around you, maybe the feeling of your feet on the floor.
How does just noticing things help with strong emotions?
Because when your mind is fully engaged with what's happening right now in your immediate sensory world, it literally can't be simultaneously spinning out with worries about the future or regrets about the past. It anchors you.
It calms the mental chatter.
Precisely. And a simple reminder phrase here is just, be here now.
Be here now.
Uh...
Okay. And finally, strategy 8. This one feels particularly relevant for our listeners who are focused on language and learning. Learn emotional vocabulary in English.
Yes. And this isn't just about sounding more articulate, although that's a bonus.
It's more fundamental than that.
Much more. The sources talk about something called emotional granularity.
Emotional granularity. Okay, what's that?
It's the idea that the more precise your words are for your feelings, moving beyond just basic sad or happy or mad, the better your brain, specifically your prefrontal cortex, can actually manage the automatic emotional response.
Wow, really? So having more words gives you more control?
Essentially, yes. A richer vocabulary leads to a better understanding of what you're actually feeling, and understanding is the first step toward managing it.
That's fascinating. So if I can identify that I'm not just sad, but maybe disappointed or lonely?
The feeling becomes clearer, more defined, and therefore less overwhelming and more manageable. You understand its specific source and shape better.
So instead of just sad, we could have disappointed, lonely, maybe heartbroken, instead just happy, maybe joyful, proud, content, peaceful.
Exactly. That specificity equals better understanding, and better understanding paves the way for control.
That 8-point toolkit is incredibly practical,
Yes.
really functional. Let's put it to work now in segment 3.
Right,
Let's
let's
take
work on it.
those common scenarios from the sources and see exactly which strategies we'd use.
Sounds good. Let's start with that classic, traffic anger. We all know the uncontrolled reaction, shouting, maybe honking like crazy, getting all worked up.
Right. So what's the controlled response look like using these tools?
Well, you could combine a couple. Maybe
Yeah.
strategy 5, the micro reset, turn down the radio, maybe roll down the window for some fresh air. Just a small environmental shift.
Okay.
That little pause might give you the space for strategy 2, naming it. Instead of just raw fury at that idiot driver, you identify it more specifically. Okay, I'm feeling frustration right now because I feel out of control or because I'm running late.
So naming the source of the frustration, lack of control, being late, kind of deflates the anger towards the other person.
Often, yes. It helps you realize your reaction is about your state, not just them. And you can then choose to prioritize your own peace over reacting to someone else's driving. Maybe use strategy 3 and just count to 10 and let it go.
Okay, scenario 2, job interview nervousness. The uncontrolled version is panic, mind going blank, forgetting everything you prepared.
A very common experience. Here, we'd likely lean on strategy 1, breathing, and strategy 4, positive self-talk.
How would that work in the moment?
Right before you go in, or even just before they ask the first question, take a few slow, deep breaths. Really focus on the exhale to activate that vagus nerve we talked about.
Okay, the physical calming.
And at the same time, use that positive self-talk. Silently tell yourself, okay, I feel nervous and that's normal, but I'm prepared for this. I can do this. Or I'll do my best.
You're not trying to pretend the nervousness isn't there. You acknowledge it.
You acknowledge it, but you don't let it take over. You remind yourself of your preparation and capability. The feeling is there, but you stay in charge of your response.
Right. Okay. Final scenario. Receiving bad news, dealing with sadness. The uncontrolled reaction might be to hide it, push it down, suffer alone.
Yeah, trying to just be strong and bottling it up.
So the controlled reaction here isn't about not feeling sad, is it?
Not at all. It's about strategy 6, safe expression. Maybe combined with strategy 2, naming the specific feeling. Is it disappointment, grief, loss?
And how does safe expression look here?
It means reaching out, sharing the news and your feelings with a trusted friend or family member, maybe journaling about it, and allowing yourself to cry if you need to. Crying is a natural release. The control here is choosing a healthy, supportive way to process the sadness rather than letting it fester internally or lashing out inappropriately.
So control can mean stillness and breathing sometimes, but other times it means actively expressing the emotion in a safe way.
Exactly. It's dynamic. It's about choosing the right response for the situation and the emotion.
That's really helpful. Okay, now, to make this super practical for everyone listening, let's wrap up with segment 4, consolidating those key English phrases they can actually use.
Great idea. These are like ready-made tools. So if you're feeling overwhelmed but want to signal you're managing it, you could say, I am feeling overwhelmed, but I'm trying to stay calm.
That communicates both the feeling and the intention.
Nice. And for that strategy 5 cooling off moment.
You could say, politely and professionally, I need a moment to cool off before I continue. It sets a boundary and explains your action.
Good one. What about acknowledging this is a skill we develop over time?
For that, something like, I'm learning to control my emotions step by step. It's honest and manages expectations. For yourself, too.
And for practicing strategy 2, naming the feeling specifically.
Use that structure we talked about. Right now, I'm experiencing nervousness, but I know it will pass. It names it and frames it as temporary. Perfect. And one more, referencing that simple but effective delay tactic.
You can share what works for you. I count to 10 when I feel upset. It really helps. It normalizes the strategy and reinforces it for yourself.
Using these phrases, it's like you're practicing the control while you're talking about it.
Exactly. It reinforces the habit.
This has been really clarifying. We've seen that emotions, they're powerful, they're part of being human,
Yeah.
but crucially, how we act on them. That's where our choice lies. We went from the general idea to the specific biology of the vagus nerve, even the vocabulary of emotional granularity.
Yeah, and as we finish up, it's worth remembering that core metaphor that came through in the sources. Emotions are like visitors. They're not the masters of the house.
Visitors, not masters. I like that.
They come, they knock, sometimes they barge in, but eventually they leave. Our job is to observe them, understand them, maybe offer them a cup of tea, but not hand over the keys to the house.
Right. Don't let them redecorate.
Exactly. So use the tools, the breathing, the naming, the counting, the positive self-talk. Practice using those phrases we just discussed. And next time a strong feeling shows up, just pause. Use the words you've learned and tell yourself, I can control my emotions.
It feels like developing this emotional control and improving your language skills, especially for expressing these subtle feelings, they really go hand in hand.
They absolutely accelerate each other. Keep practicing both.
Great advice. Until next time on The Deep Dive.